Dark Knight has a great sword.
Aw, thanks, I made it myself. Actually, it took a lot of time to—
Shut the up, that's a dumb joke. How's it going, Warriors Alike? I'm if the LFL just keeps showing up in your feed despite the nuclear levels of repellent you're using. No, I won't tell you how I'm doing this. And we are back with another cringe advice video. In today's video, we're diving deep into the world of tanking in Final Fantasy XIV. Whether you're a seasoned veteran or new to the tank role, I've got some essential tips and strategies to help you master your role and prevent your content runs from looking like the opening scenes of D-Day. Side note, I really appreciate all the feedback from my last video. It's generally difficult to slow myself down too much without starting to sound like I'm having a stroke, but apparently a little goes a long way to you guys. Wish someone had told my ex-wife that. Only joking. Let's get started. First and foremost, it's crucial to understand what it means to be a tank. Your primary responsibilities are to hold aggro, mitigate damage, position enemies effectively, and blame the healer when you fuck up any of these first three. These responsibilities get progressively more important the higher level you get, so getting the basics right early will afford you a much more comfortable existence. Risking a devil's dose of controversy here, tanking is the easiest role in the game once you get the basics right, and if you're sat there right now sporting a Pound Me Daddy crop top, already thinking of the various excuses you can use for bruises you're about to endure here, there, and everywhere, then this job is for you. And as of right now, there's 4 different flavors. Paladin is my current go-to after criticizing it for 6 months. It uses a sword and shield and has a strong burst damage as well as many ranged attacks. It also offers a powerful set of targeted and raid-wide mitigation tools for a raid and trial setting. It is very much a hybrid of damage and support with strong defensive cooldowns. It can also briefly pretend it's a healer at times, though these heals are about as effective as lightly caressing someone's face to show that you care. Warrior wields a massive great axe as well as an extremely potent series of healing spells that allow them to comfortably regain lost health. It's arguably the most popular tanking job right now and has been since Inosa's had hair as far as I'm aware. Its entire story is a meme, its playstyle is a brand to keep it simple stupid with high HP, broken self-healing capabilities, and a playstyle that revolves around building up your beast gauge and using it to surgically attach your enemies to the floor with bell cleave.
Again and again and again and again.
Dark Knight has a great sword.
Aw, thanks, I made it myself. Actually, it took a lot of time to—
Shut the fuck up, that's a dumb joke. And focuses on resource management, burst damage, and the proper application of frequent short duration defensive cooldowns. This job has more edge than the Reddit JOI and is currently made of paper, which is apparently a feature according to some of the Dark Knight diehards. Though I'm not entirely sure of this. I don't play the job, I'm not 12 and I don't hate my parents. Gunbreaker, a tanking job that combines damage dealing with mitigation, making them versatile and dynamic. It's a high tempo tank that builds and spends cartridges using its weapon skills and abilities. These cartridges can be spent on the continuation combo, a series of attacks that make the job feel like you identify as a DPS. Your sword is also a gun. I don't really understand what else I could possibly say to promote this job. It's basically the only time you can legitimately open fire in a crowded area wearing a trench coat and not make headlines. Okay, fair enough. Getting cancelled for that one. I can take it, I'm a big boy now. And because I'm a big boy, I'm the best suited example for this relatively short segment on how to effectively hold aggro. Turn on your tank stance and make sure you're hitting everything indiscriminately. You'd be surprised how many Sprout tanks think tank stance plus a single spinny move is enough to force every mob in the area to focus on them like they just liked a JK Rowland tweet in 2024. Doesn't work like that, Chief, and you can guarantee you've got a Jerry DPS who thinks AoE is a rival MMO, solely single target focusing that one mob in the back like it's that one ugly friend in a gaggle of females at a nightclub. I also feel like it's worth mentioning virtually all Realm Reborn and Heaven's Ward instances in Duty Finder automatically turn off your tank stance when you queue for them. So make this part of your initial checklist before you pull. The healer came to clear the content, not get face fucked into the ground by several drakes in Storm Vigil. Or maybe they did. Who am I to king shame? You give me a lot to think about. Bolted onto this section like a child to a failing marriage, remember to communicate with your core tank if you're in an encounter requiring 2 tanks. Coordinate tank swaps to manage aggro and cooldowns efficiently. This includes using things like Shirk and maybe your buddy cop mitigation during the transition. A tank requiring a swap is getting pounded hard enough, and being even a second late to the party means more damage on the poor boy, which can absolutely lead to death, or more reasons for the white mage to stop using glare. And when you see that white mage version of glare change from a casted spell to real life staring at you from across the room, I highly recommend Kevlar, and not to buy them heavy gifts that can turn into projectiles when they're mad. I also recommend smashing that subscribe button because the momentum we have built as a community over the last couple of weeks is frankly astounding, and we shouldn't let it end till I've radicalized everyone into freeform LFL thinking. And hey, why not hit that join button for a badge and in-video recognition alongside other perks, all while supporting this British LFL's journey to the new height. Seems like a fair old proposition, and on that note, due to various subscribers deciding to transfer to my home server, I was impromptu inspired to successfully establish a community FC and started introducing the Lalatitalitarians on Light Lich. If you can pronounce it drunk, you can join, and that's enough shameless promo from me. Now, the key to surviving as a tank in almost every situation lies in basic understanding of your job's mitigations and how to effectively weave them together. In fact, in a lot of situations, good management of this can mean you never require third-party healing, as mobs will die much quicker when the healer can also focus on damage and your health returns to full between pulls anyway. Now, granted, not everyone wants to run every dungeon like Sonic, but in terms of duty roulette, universally everyone prefers it when you finish quickly. Ironically, the only time that doesn't get you shouted at. Not that I'd know.
A few moments later.
Now, rigid defensive rotations aren't really as important as you might think anymore, thanks to the growing strength of the tank's active mitigations. However, understanding each of your defensive cooldowns individually is incredibly important as you apply it to the encounters you face. Defensives, like my excuse for being single at 30, come in many shapes and sizes, from the types of damage they prevent or reduce to who they apply to, and in the case of the best ability in the entire game, where they apply to. Being naive and using a group mitigation for a tank buster isn't the worst thing in the world. I mean, it's still mitigating to a degree. However, that is now a resource you may not have a couple of seconds later when the boss notices how particularly good girl the DPS are looking and elects to throw out unavoidable raid-wide facials like they're competing for top note. I've said it once and I'll say it again, read your tooltips. It's funny how a little understanding of exactly how an ability works leads to better choices. However, all this being said, don't excessively bank your mitigations like you're preparing for the fucking apocalypse. There is no cooldown in this game that takes longer than your average hentai enjoyer, and sure, you might have clutched with home cam 10 minutes into an encounter, but on a 4-minute cooldown, that is 2 uses of your strongest mitigation, now more neglected than the filet of fish option at McDonald's. Oh, and no pressure, but a well-timed mitigation ability can be the difference between life and death. Not just for you, but effectively for your entire party. Enmity and survivability are the core of your tanking role, and outside of this, your only other task in virtually all content is making life easier for the other jobs in the party. You do this in much the same way you crush your 8-year-old autistic son in an impromptu nerf war you started because there is no Scotty or Mufasa, with effective movement and positioning. In most cases, you should always place the boss's ass towards the party, because when the boss sees the field to which you grow your fucks about the damage he's doing to you is barren, he's gonna shit himself, and you don't want to be in that area. I swear, if I get a single scatfish. This is also convenient for the melee DPS who are still cursed with the controversial positionals and have to rear-end about 50% of the time. No, seriously, I've talked about this before, but positionals were only a good idea back when fights were simpler. They are more or less an extreme hindrance to us getting truly unique encounter design now and should be scrapped alongside Black Mages, the range attack, and the accounts of everyone who ERPs as a Lalafell. Now once you're there, stand fucking still unless you have to move. Take this time to study the area, and I know it's hard, but try to visualize what comes next. This mid-fight meditation will help you panic less when you do inevitably have to move the boss, because remember, when you move to avoid a mechanic, you're not just looking to keep yourself safe. You're looking for a safe space for you, in some cases the boss, and the melee DPS that still affords them the ability to land positionals where possible, and this is easier said than done a lot of the time, especially in current content, where the arena floor tends to light up like someone's just pushed a Glock between the eyes of Rainbow Dash, Flash, and now their equestrian brains are a Rainbow Splash. Thank you, thank you. I'd like to thank the Academy and every brony that doesn't campaign against me on Twitter. Effective positioning not only protects your party, but also maximizes their damage output, leading to quicker and smoother encounters. Remember, dealing more damage is mitigating future damage. Ultimately, tanking is a role that requires continuous learning and adaptation. A well-coordinated tank can significantly reduce the strain on healers, increase the damage output of the DPS, and make the encounter smoother for the entire party. But in order to achieve this, you must acknowledge that tanking is a role that requires continuous learning and adaptation, and simply just a natural talent for remembering shit. Tanks uniquely benefit more than any other role when it comes to prior knowledge of a fight, and considering the depth of their skill gameplay is inherently reactive, it's no shock that this is the case. That being said, remember, even the best tanks started as beginners, so don't feel like you need a degree in Eorzean fight mechanics before you give it a go. Anyways, that's enough propaganda from me. What do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button in the same way you forget to hit tank limit break in the few trials that actually require it, and click this to be taken down a rabbit hole of my content as suggested by YouTube, who apparently has a good idea of what you'd like to watch based on your viewing behaviour, which I don't believe is true because I never get recommended hot Dutch single mothers on my timeline.